16 Island isn't the only sex island out there.
They said it out loud, on camera, in public. And nobody in mainstream media asked a single follow-up question.
Are we going to let our children go? And that's a question, and people have to answer.
That's not a hypothetical. That's a man who has spent years inside the darkest investigation in modern history, and he's pointing directly at someone you think you know.
That some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think,
Two men, separate journeys, same conclusion. And the name they keep circling back to, the name Hollywood has protected for 30 years, is one that will shock you. But here's what nobody is connecting. Until right now. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand what Jim Caviezel and Mel Gibson are saying about these missing girls, you first need to understand what it cost them to say anything at all. These are not conspiracy theorists shouting into a microphone in a basement somewhere. These are two of the most decorated, battle-tested, blacklisted names in Hollywood history. And they didn't arrive at these conclusions. Together, they arrived at them separately through completely different paths and somehow landed in the exact same place. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. Mel Gibson came up in Hollywood in the early days with what he himself described as dirt on his shoes. He came in fresh, wide-eyed, an outsider who didn't know the rules yet. And that outsider status, that naivety, it actually made him see things more clearly than the people who had already been swallowed up by the machine.
you come in, you're fresh from the outside. You're off the boat, from the farm, still got shit on your shoes. You're in here. People are charmed by that you've still got shit on your shoes. They're charmed by the fresh approach you bring to it, and that's a real thing. But they're also stroking the shit out of you, you know, licking you all over. And that's kind of good for you, too. It's great. But it doesn't take very long before you realize, or before it gets to you. It's cascading on you all the time. You can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior that this town and the industry dictate. And no matter how strong you are, when you come in off the farm.
What Mel is describing there isn't flattery. It isn't Hollywood charm. It's a grooming process. The same language used to describe how predators break down children's defenses is the exact same language Mel uses to describe how Hollywood breaks down adults. They charm you, they flatter you, they make you feel chosen. And then slowly, invisibly, the industry begins to redirect you.
And no matter how strong you are, when you come in off the farm with those convictions and a certain line of attack, no matter how strong you are going to be affected by this place. It's going to divert you from where you were going.
He said divert. That word is deliberate. This isn't accidental corruption. It is a system that was designed to redirect anyone with moral clarity, away from asking hard questions. And when Mel started asking those questions, when his gut instincts told him something was deeply wrong, he did what anyone would do. He dismissed himself. He told himself he was being paranoid. He thought, surely an entire industry can't be this dark.
And I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be. Because a whole place can't be like, weird town, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them and they tell you don't go to the house on the hill. It's like that.
That metaphor, that horror movie, Small Town, where everyone knows the secret and nobody will tell the stranger. Mel lived that. He walked into the bar and everyone went quiet. And then years later, he found out he had been exactly right.
But that you could... that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think,
let that land. Mel Gibson, a man who worked inside Hollywood for decades, said his worst nightmares about what was happening behind closed doors turned out to be real. Not exaggerated, not paranoid, real. So what did he do? He left.
Had a gut full of the whole industry. I mean, it's a very strange place, Hollywood. But it's an odd place. And you imagine all these horror stories.
He bought a farm in Australia, started digging holes, birthing cattle. He needed to get back to something real, something human, because what he had seen in Hollywood had gotten so dark, he needed to physically remove himself to process it. That's not drama. That's a man protecting his own sanity. Now, fast forward 20 years, and a completely different man arrives at an almost identical breaking point. Except this time, the thing that broke him wasn't abstract. It was specific, it had a name, it had a location, it had children attached to it. That man was Jim Caviezel. If you want to understand why Caviezel's words carry the weight that they do, you need to understand what he went through just to get Sound of Freedom made and into theaters. This is a film about Tim Ballard, a real man, a former Homeland Security agent who quit his government job to personally rescue children from trafficking networks. It is based on documented true events. It has a moral case that should be completely uncontroversial. And yet, Hollywood treated it like a bomb.
From Rupert Murdoch, from Fox, to every studio. Look, if you touch this thing, you will be out, you will be done. You'll be finished in 3 years.
Read that again slowly. A movie about saving children. A film that literally tracks how predators recruit, groom, and traffic minors. And the message sent to every major studio, from Rupert Murdoch's Fox all the way down the line, was touch this and your career is over. Why? What exactly in a movie about rescuing children from traffickers was threatening enough that the most powerful people in entertainment needed to bury it? Caviezel kept going. Angel Studios picked it up when no one else would. And when it finally hit theaters in 2023, the public showed up in extraordinary numbers. Over $200 million at the box office. Sold-out screenings. People bringing their neighbors. Paying for strangers' tickets. Hollywood didn't want it to exist. The public made it a phenomenon. And it was during one of those packed screenings that something happened that Caviezel has talked about ever since.
I was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're...
The audience didn't just watch that film. They connected it in real time, out loud, collectively to Jeffrey Epstein. Not because the movie mentioned Epstein, but because the audience recognized the pattern. They saw the same structure, the same machinery. That moment crystallized everything for Caviezel. This wasn't just one trafficking ring. This was a system, a network. And it had arms reaching into places that nobody in mainstream media was willing to follow. He called it an 8-armed octopus.
It's an 8-armed octopus. And if you take just out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head.
And when Caviezel started talking about who that head might be, when he started pointing at names, one name above all others made Hollywood go pale. Oprah Winfrey. Now here's where this story gets deeply uncomfortable, because we're not talking about a rumor anymore. We're talking about documented events. A real school, real girls, a real trial, and a silence so loud it screams. In 2007, Oprah Winfrey opened the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for girls in South Africa. She'd made a personal promise to Nelson Mandela. She poured $40 million into a sprawling 28-building campus, free uniforms, free meals, a beauty salon, a yoga studio, 2 theaters. She called herself these girls' mama bear. The world applauded.
Place of learning as well as living for them. We have to have a theater because this is a school for leaders, and in order to be a leader, you have to have a voice.
A place for girls to find their voices. That was the promise. Within months of the school opening, a dormitory employee named Virginia Makapu was arrested. The charges included assault, indecent assault, and soliciting underage girls to perform indecent acts. At least 7 victims came forward. 7 young girls pulled from poverty, given what was supposed to be the opportunity of their lives, found themselves being victimized inside the very walls Oprah had built for them. Oprah flew to South Africa immediately. She wept publicly. She called herself shaken to her core. She fired staff and instituted what she described as a total lockdown of the school to protect the girls. But here's where the story darkens in a direction that almost no major outlet has ever followed. After the lockdown, the girls didn't feel protected. They felt imprisoned. Parents' actual mothers began describing the school not as a refuge, but as something that looked and felt closer to a detention facility. 2-hour supervised visits, restricted diets, no outside contact allowed. One parent said directly, "Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." The poor children are not even allowed to have any treats. These were girls from impoverished communities, girls who had been promised the world, and now they were being isolated inside a compound that Oprah controlled, completely cut off from family, monitored constantly, unable to reach the outside world. And then the trial collapsed. Virginia Makapu, the woman charged with 14 counts of indecent acts against children, was acquitted. The magistrate ruled that the testimony from the alleged victims was contradictory and lacked corroboration. 9 girls stood up. 9 girls who had already survived poverty, who had survived abuse inside a school built specifically for their empowerment, who had summoned the courage to go on record, and not one of them got justice. Not one. And Oprah Winfrey, the woman with $3 billion in resources, a global media empire, and a platform that could reach hundreds of millions of people, went quiet. But it gets worse. Because beyond the failed trial, there are persistent, widespread reports that have circulated for years that an unknown number of girls from Oprah's South African Academy simply vanished. No records, no explanations, no independent investigation launched, no press conference, no demand for accountability. From the woman who once told the world she would be these girls' mama bear silence. And it was that silence that Jim Caviezel found impossible to explain away. Here is something that never gets examined closely enough. Caviezel isn't just an actor with opinions. He is a man who has spent years, not months, years studying how child trafficking networks actually operate. He has spoken to former intelligence officers. He worked alongside people who had run undercover rescue operations. He knows what the architecture of these systems looks like from the inside. And when he looked at the story of Oprah's school, the isolation, the failed prosecution, the missing girls, the silence, he didn't see a charity that went wrong. He saw a pattern he recognized.
It's an 8-armed octopus. And if you take just out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head.
In the trafficking world, there is a specific role called a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is not the person who commits the abuse directly. The gatekeeper is the person who controls access, who manages trust, who decides who enters the circle and who doesn't, who builds the infrastructure of credibility that makes the entire operation invisible to the outside world. Now think about what Oprah Winfrey controls. 35 years of daily television reaching tens of millions of people, a magazine, a book club that can turn an unknown author into a global household name within 48 hours, a film production company, political relationships at the absolute highest levels of power. She was publicly credited with being a decisive factor in Barack Obama's 2008 presidential victory. She decides who gets a platform. She decides who gets legitimized. She decides who gets to be trusted in the eyes of the American public. That is an extraordinary amount of gatekeeping power. And Caviezel, and this is the part that the mainstream press has studiously avoided, points to how that gatekeeping power was used in practice. A British actress named Katie Noble described meeting Harvey Weinstein. She said that what made her trust Weinstein immediately, despite his reputation, despite the whispers, despite her own instincts, was that Oprah was standing next to him.
Naomi Campbell, he had Oprah Winfrey there with him, who entered the room and was swinging off his arm and just seemed like a very dear friend. And these, like Oprah, Naomi, Rita, and Georgina, they all sat at his table. And for me, meeting Oprah was like, oh my God.
Do you understand what is being described there? Oprah's image, her brand, her reputation as the moral conscience of America was functioning as a trust mechanism. Her presence was a signal to young women that said, if Oprah trusts this man, he is safe. Her proximity to Weinstein didn't just make her complicit by association. It made her functionally part of the access infrastructure. The musician Seal posted a photo of Oprah kissing Harvey Weinstein on the cheek and wrote, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution." Oprah never responded. And then when the Me Too movement exploded, when the entire reckoning over Weinstein's decades of abuse was at its absolute peak, Oprah stood up in front of the world and said something that went quietly viral before people fully understood why it disturbed them.
We make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
Let that sit. In the middle of the biggest abuse reckoning in Hollywood history, a reckoning that existed specifically because of Harvey Weinstein, the woman who had been photographed with him for decades, who had attended his events, who had used her credibility to legitimize him to young women, stood up and said, "Don't make this about Harvey Weinstein, not toward accountability. Away from it." Now we need to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, because this is where everything converges. Epstein ran the most sophisticated and well-documented child trafficking operation in American history. His private jet, the Lolita Express, flew the most powerful people on Earth to his private island. Politicians, billionaires, Hollywood legends, tech moguls, all of them documented in flight logs that have slowly, painfully made their way into public record. And the Epstein files, the ones the internet figured out you could copy-paste through the failed redactions, have continued to drop. What's in them is extraordinary. Bill Clinton photographed at Epstein's properties. Testimony claiming Epstein made statements about Clinton's preferences. Flight records confirming Clinton flew on Epstein's jet far more times than his team ever publicly acknowledged. And that's just Clinton. The files show Epstein had infiltrated the highest levels of Hollywood and music photos, surfacing of major names at his properties and events. The DOJ has already removed certain files after uploading them. Entire pages remain blacked out. The the question everyone keeps asking, who are they protecting? And this is where Caviezel's octopus metaphor becomes critically important, because here is something almost nobody has said out loud. Oprah Winfrey's name has appeared in Epstein-related documents, not once allegedly 5 separate times. Now, there is no confirmed flight log placing Oprah personally on the Lolita Express. But her former business partner, Geraldine Laybourne, the woman she co-founded Oxygen Media with, is confirmed in Epstein's private jet logs. Documented, verified, and Mel Gibson, separately, pointed at this exact intersection, Hollywood elites and trafficking networks, when he publicly championed Sound of Freedom.
The most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Our future is our children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
He didn't just say that in passing. He posted it publicly. He told people to go see Sound of Freedom. He put his name directly on the line. And here is where the parallel between Gibson and Caviezel becomes almost eerie. Mel Gibson warned about Hollywood's darkness in the 1990s and got blacklisted. Corey Feldman warned about child abuse in Hollywood in the 2000s and got destroyed professionally. Cat Williams warned in 2024 that the dam was about to break, and people initially laughed at him. Jim Caviezel built a movie about it in 2023 and was told his career would be finished. This is not a coincidence. This is a consistent pattern of suppression directed at anyone who gets too close to a specific truth. And the truth they keep getting close to involves children, schools, missing girls, and the people who had the power to protect them and didn't. Let's talk about what Corey Feldman said, because his testimony is one of the most important data points in this entire story, and it connects directly to what Caviezel has been warning about. Feldman has been speaking about Hollywood's abuse of child actors for over 2 decades. He's been laughed at, dismissed, called crazy, sued, and threatened. And he kept talking. Because what happened to him and to his best friend Corey Haim was too important to stay buried.
I tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be. That's the biggest problem for children in this industry.
The casting couch even applies to children.
Oh yeah, not in the same way. It's all done under the radar.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh yeah, I was surrounded by them when I was 14 years old. Surrounded, literally. Didn't even know it. It wasn't until I was old enough to realize what they were and what they wanted and what they were about and the types of people that were surrounding me till I went, oh my God, they were everywhere like vultures.
Vultures, that word. These were not random bad actors operating alone. These were organized, connected, protected by the industry's power structure. Men with either their own power or connections to enormous power in the entertainment world. That's how they operated for so long without consequence. The system didn't just fail to stop them, the system actively shielded them. And what happened to Corey Haim Feldman's best friend and co-star is the most heartbreaking part of this entire story.
Person to blame in the death of Corey Haim, and that person happens to be a Hollywood mogul, and that person needs to be exposed, but unfortunately I can't be the one to do it. But the person that knows who did it and knows who he is watching right now, I guarantee you. Yeah.
Intriguing.
There was a circle of older men in the entertainment industry.
Feldman won't name names.
He said that on national television, in front of millions of people. And the person he was pointing at watching, he said, in real time has still never been named publicly. Feldman can't name him for legal reasons, almost certainly. But the fact that there is a name, that Feldman knows it, that the person knows Feldman knows, and that this man is still walking free, still protected, is one of the most damning indictments of Hollywood's power structure you will ever encounter. Now here's the thread that connects Feldman's testimony directly to what Caviezel is saying about Oprah's school. The mechanism is the same. In both cases, you have children who were hand-selected. In both cases, you have institutions Hollywood, a school that positioned themselves as places of opportunity and safety. In both cases, the children were isolated from their normal support structures and placed inside environments controlled by powerful adults. In both cases, abuse occurred. In both cases, the powerful adults escaped accountability. And in both cases, the children, the actual victims, were the ones who paid the price. The only difference between what happened to child actors in Hollywood and what happened to the girls in Oprah's South African school is geography. The architecture is identical. Let's zoom out for a moment, because what Cat Williams and Joe Rogan talked about in their now legendary conversation actually explains the financial and social mechanics of exactly how this suppression works and why it has lasted so long.
propaganda in Hollywood movies is built into the ingredients list. It's like if you want flour, you need like, you're gonna have to get the beat. And if you want to be able to make movies about certain subjects, you have to be willing to work with some people. And, you know, it'd be nice if you